Welcome everybody this morning. So good to see you all here today. Thanks for coming. The parking lot was full, so I thought we'd be a little bigger in here, but no, next door, our neighbors, our brothers and sisters from the Hindu temple down the street are having a charity walk today. They do every year, they were very gracious today to make sure people were doing their best to make sure people weren't parking here. So you guys had some spots, so hopefully you didn't have to walk too far, but that's what's going on today if you're curious. But I do appreciate that you're here today, and I mean that with all sincerity. I know that you work all week long. You go to work, you have stuff that you got to do, and your weekend hours are limited. So just being here is, just your presence here says that the time that we spend as a church, that you're making this a priority. It tells us that you think the things we do here matters, that this is worth devoting your time to. Because your time is your life, right? Where you spend your time, that's what you make a life with. And you're free to do with it what you want. And your choice to be present today is something that I don't take for granted. I really deeply appreciate it. Being a pastor is it's a unique vocation. I work on Sundays, right? This is like your day off, but I work today. I prepare specifically for the weekend, and it's just an interesting thing because this is a free event. We don't charge tickets, don't pay. You don't get any credit for coming. You don't get a stamp, you don't get a reward. You don't get status, I don't know. And you still choose to come. So sometimes I'm just amazed. I'm people actually come to this. People actually show up for this. On a Sunday morning, you're one day a week to sleep in. You're going to come here. I appreciate it. I appreciate it because you work so much. Researchers estimate, I don't know if you know this, if you've heard this before, but over a lifetime, most people in America will spend 90,000 hours of your life working. Now I'm talking vocational work, like actual really work, not mowing your lawn or doing the dishes or cleaning the church. If anybody would like to clean the church, you can do that. You can sign up. But 90,000 hours literally in your vocational work in a job where you get hopefully paid for. So that equates to a little more than 13 years solid. Nonstop, 13 years with no break. That's about a third of your life. About a third of your life will be spent working. That's a lot. That's how many of you feel like it? You're yeah, it feels like more. Feels like more. I feel like I've worked more. The past few weeks we've been exploring a series called The Secret of Contentment. The Secret of Contentment. That so much of our world is not content. So many of us are discontent, with life. We're not just I'm so content. And when we say contentment, we're not just talking about, yeah, sure, whatever. But that you're full. You feel like this is great. You couldn't have more. You're totally, fully at peace and full of joy about what is happening, the reality of your life. That kind of contentment. And we've identified that there are lies that we're being told that threaten our contentment. And those lies must be confronted and instead replaced with a truth. So the first lie, each week we've gone through this is the third week. The first lie we identified is that if I know enough, I'll be more content. If I know enough, I'll be that more information, more understanding, that if I knew more, I'd feel more content. If I had answers, if I knew why and how and when, if I knew more, I'd be more content. And the truth is, and that's a lie, the truth is this: God knows it all and reveals to us what is good for us to know, that you know what you need to know. And you can be content knowing that what you know today is enough. And if you should know more, as you seek God, He will reveal what you need to know. And you can trust that God knows it, that's enough. And one day we're going to get to heaven, and then we're going to get to know it all. All those questions will be answered. So that's the first thing. The second lie is this: not if I know enough, but if I have enough, I'll be content. Right? That if I had more than I have now. If I had better, bigger, if I had grander, I would be more content. If I had a newer car, if I had a better house, if I had a better job, if I had more and better, I would be more content. And this one, man, is an easy one to feel. You probably are feeling it. You're still feeling it right now. You're like, man, if I had newer, better. And the truth is, God is the giver of good, has given you all the good you need, will continue. You lack nothing right now. You have all the good you need in your life right now. And as it's good for you, God won't overgive, because sometimes the things we think are good for us are actually not good for us. So apparently it's not good that the New York Knicks win the championship because God would have given it, and he didn't. They forgot to play defense. But anyway, God withholds nothing good from us. So that's the truth. So today we're going to examine the third lie that we're told about contentment, and it relates to our work. We can talk about work, the thing that we spend so much of our life doing. The Bible has a whole lot to say about work, like a lot to say about work. And I'll be honest with you, I may need to do a series just on work because I struggled with this message because there's so much to say. Don't worry, I really pared it down. I'm not going to keep you here for more than an hour or two. They say, looking at my watch, don't worry. So you know what happens? You know what it means when a minister looks at his watch, right? Absolutely nothing, right? Absolutely nothing. So, but no, I'm going to try and keep it simple today. But I'm just saying there's so much that I would like to say today that I can't get to. Seriously. So one thing I would encourage you is get in a branches group, because in branches, they can take some of the stuff we talk about here and go deeper. Those are the small groups that meet throughout the week. If you're not in one, you're missing out. You're not just missing out on like the relational side of it, but you're missing out on the faith-growing component of it, where we can wrestle with and talk and go deeper with the things that, like here, this is not conversation. I don't know if you know that. You don't have a mic. Right? I'm talking at you. You get to listen, but you don't get to respond. You don't get to question. You don't get to challenge. In a branches group, all that happens. You get to really work out and say, yeah, I got a problem with that. I don't understand that. That doesn't make sense. But what about this? That happens there. That's where the power of our faith collectively sharpening each other happens. I'm telling you, get in a group. It's for your good. If you have questions in your life about faith, work it out in community. It's the best place to do it. The only answers you're going to get on your own are your own, and they're not enough. That's why you have the questions. Get around other people. Okay, enough for my commercial there. The Bible has much to say about our work, so we're going to start there with just a few things the Bible says about work. One, work is supposed to be part of our life. It's not like evil or bad. Exodus, we read, says, remember to observe the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. You have 6 days each week for ordinary work, but the seventh is a Sabbath day of rest dedicated to the Lord. Right there, we often focus on the Sabbath part, but God is telling us right there, 6 out of 7 days you should be working. Work is part of life. It's not bad. It's prescribed in Scripture. We had a missionary a few weeks ago, Noah Lane. Remember if Noah was here, my brother-in-law. And he shared about Bezalel. It's a good name for your dog. Bezalel, a man God has gifted with artistic ability, right? And he says this, he was given a specific assignment. He says, I made him an artist to do specific work. See, not only are we supposed to do work, but God has given us specific work to do. You all, I included, all of us, somehow, somewhere deep down inside, we've got gifts. You got things you're good at. You got different things that you're good at. I got 3 kids. They're all different. All different. Everybody in this room, nobody has the same thing. Everybody's got a different mix of gifts. And God does it that way on purpose. He says, hey, I got an assignment for you, and I got an assignment. Because if we were all doing the same thing, there'd be a lot of gaps in the world. If everybody was making food, I mean, it sounds like it would be good, but there'd be no roads. There'd be no houses because there'd be no builders. There'd be no plumbers, right? It takes all of us. So, there's work that we're supposed to do. There's unique work that we're supposed to do. The Apostle Paul was a hardworking man. Not only was he a minister, it says he had a job making tents. He had a job, like he had a real job. He got paid for that. And it says this in Galatians. Paul says, pay careful attention to your own work, for then you'll get the satisfaction of a job well done, and you won't need to compare yourself to anyone else, for we're each responsible for our own conduct. Which means not only do you have your own unique work to do, but get your eyes off of what everybody else is doing. Don't compare how you're doing compared to how everybody else is doing, because they don't have the same assignment as you. You got to don't compare. Keep your eyes on your own work. Do your own work. Timothy encourages us, work hard so you can present yourself to God and receive his approval. Be a good worker, one who does not need to be ashamed, who correctly explains the word of truth. We should work hard. Never be lazy. Work hard and serve the Lord enthusiastically, Paul says. We're supposed to work hard. We're supposed to be joyful when we work. I'm telling you, there's all sorts of stuff in the Bible about work. I could preach about this for years, seriously, because it's so much a part of our life and it's so much a part of the Scriptures. We should work hard. We've got assignments to do, all this kind of stuff. 1 Corinthians 1, in 1 Corinthians we read that the work we are assigned to by God, guess what? It's never in vain. What you do, it all counts. It's not wasted work. Right? As Einstein said, not everything that can be counted counts. and not everything that counts can be counted. Right? Sometimes we're doing work, and we're like, I don't know if it makes a difference. I don't know if anybody's noticing. You do your work. If you're doing it for God, it all counts. It's encouraging. He also writes in 1 Corinthians that we're all working together, that there's actually one big project. We're all working together. You're doing a part, and you're doing a part, but actually, at the end of the day, we're all working together. We've got one mission. It's to honor God with what we're doing. And as we're working together. So I'm not doing this job and you're doing this job. We're all working to get together. God's organizing it all. I love this. One of my favorite quotes from John Wooden, amazing coach. He says, the player who puts the basketball through the hoop, says that player has 10 hands. Think about it. There's 5 guys on a team. Or girls. 5 players on a team. And the person who puts the ball through the hoop has 10 hands, meaning it takes all of them to get the job done. It takes everybody. It takes all of us. We labor together. You're not alone in your work. So as you're working, you're not just out there doing your job. You're counting on everybody else to do their job, right? I'm counting on electricians, and I'm counting on people to do those things. I have no idea what's going on, right? I'm counting on everybody to do their part. Jesus himself addressed the work that we're assigned by God. He says this, my nourishment comes from doing the work of God, from doing the will of the one who sent me, from finishing his work. That as we work, it's energizing, it's life-giving, it's purpose. We go, oh, that's what I'm here for. This is life-giving. I like doing this stuff. Godly work is energizing. All sorts of good stuff in the Bible about our work. It's a huge part of our life. God has given us purpose in our work. Our effort matters. Our motivation matters. We can be joyful. It can be life-giving. Now, with all that said, there's a lie. A very subtle lie that the enemy has planted in humanity related to our work that threatens our contentment. Because let me ask you today, do you feel content in your work? Do you ever feel like you've done enough? Do you feel fulfilled in your work? I get to do this every day. I love these reports. Love filling out these reports. I love making phone calls. I love when I email people and they don't email me back. This is so much fun, life-giving. Right? I love the fact that I do it and tomorrow I got to do it again, and the next day I got to do it again. I got to do it again. Right? Is your work life-giving? Or if you think about work and you feel stress or you feel frustration, discouragement, if you dream about the day you're going to quit and the day you're going to retire and leave behind your work, and if you think about all of that stuff, let me tell you, this message is for you today. Because our work is such a big part of our life, but how do we find contentment in our work? Not just I'm resigned to it, I accept it, but I'm fulfilled in it. So here's the lie. Here's the lie, and then we'll reveal the truth. The lie is this. If I do enough, I will be content. If I work hard enough, if I achieve enough, if I make a big enough difference, then I will be content. If I grind, if I push, if I apply myself enough, it will lead to happiness and contentment. If I succeed enough, if I reach enough, if I make a big enough impact, I will be content. I'm going to look back on all my hard work and go, it was worth it. I've loved every minute of it. If we put in enough effort, we'll be successful and we'll be content. And what makes this particular lie so effective is that there's actually a truth contained in it. We just read that hard work is valuable, right? And we just read that our work done for God is going to matter and that it's going to lead us to contentment. That we can be fulfilled and energized by our work, right? It was President Teddy Roosevelt who said, far and away the best prize that life has to offer is the chance to work hard at work worth doing. Like meaningful work, it can be life-giving. So there's truth in this. So then where's the lie that if I do more, I'll be more content? Where's the lie in that? Because it sounds like it should be true. I want to read a story from Israel's history with their first king. His name was Saul. He had never had a king before. The people say they want a king. So Saul is chosen by God, and he's instructed to lead the people and to bless them through his rule. And through the prophet Samuel, God instructs Saul. He says, hey, I want you to go fight against these people from Amalek. They've done wrong to the people of Israel when they were leaving Egypt, when they were wandering through the wilderness. Amalek didn't help. They actually turned their back and made it hard for them. They did wrong to Israel, and God says it's time to make right what was wrong. I want you to destroy the Amalekites. I want you to take them out. Leave nothing. I want you to utterly destroy them. You're going to be carrying out my judgment on the way that they've treated my people. So Saul leads the army, defeats the Amalekites, but he let the king live. And he decided to keep a lot of animals. Actually, the text says that he kept anything that looked good to him. It's not what God said, but it's what he did. And when Samuel the priest saw what Saul had done, he confronted him and said, "What's going on?" He says, "I did what God told me to do. I took care of the people." He says, "Yeah, then how come I'm hearing sheep? How come I can hear cows? How come I can see the king right there? Why didn't you do what God said?" And Saul says, "Oh, I decided I was going to sacrifice them to God. That we'll keep all these good animals because we want to give God like a really big present. We want to sacrifice them to God." And listen to what Samuel says in response. 1 Samuel chapter 15, verse 22. It'll be on the screens. If you'd like to read along, you can. But he says this. He says, "What is more pleasing to the Lord? Your burnt offerings and sacrifices, or your obedience to his voice?" Listen, obedience is better than sacrifice, and submission is better than offering the fat of rams. He says, "Rebellion is as sinful as witchcraft, and stubbornness as bad as worshiping idols. So because you have rejected the command of the Lord, he has rejected you as king." And this was a devastatingly brutal moment for Saul. Very simply, what we take away from this is that God is not looking for our activity alone. He's looking for our obedience. We can say, "God, I'm doing my best. I'm working really hard. I'm doing everything I can." And God can say back to us, "I didn't ask you to do any of that. I'm asking you to do something else over here, and you're putting all your time in over there." We say, "Yeah, God, but I'm working really hard." He said, "But I'm not asking you to do any of that." There's no question that many people work really, really hard. But that in itself means very little. The question is, what are you working hard to do? And actually, probably the better question, the more important question we need to ask is this: who are you working for? We can easily justify our work and prove that we're working hard, but if we're not doing what God has asked, then our hard work is wasted. As someone once said, you can climb and get to the very top of the ladder, only to realize it was leaning against the wrong wall. Hard work in itself is not an answer. Jesus underlined this when he said in Matthew chapter 7, he says, "Not everybody who calls out to me, 'Lord, Lord,' is going to inherit the kingdom. Only those who actually do the will of my Father in heaven. On Judgment Day, many will say to me, 'Lord, we did this in your name, and we did that in your name, and I worked for you, and I did all this stuff.' And he'll say, 'Get away from me. I never knew you. You didn't do that for me.'" See, the power in the lie that our hard work leads to contentment is this: it distorts our work from something we do for God to something we do for us. I'll say it again. The power in the lie that our hard work leads to contentment is that it distorts our work from something we're doing for God to something we're doing for us. Rather than giving my best because of my love for God, I strive and I grind and I give all I have in hopes that it's going to satisfy me, that I'll feel good, that I'll feel better, I'll feel justified, I'll feel valuable, I'll feel worthy. That's why I try to prove myself. Rather than focusing on what God has done for us, we fix our eyes on what we are doing for God. Look at what I'm doing for you, God. Aren't you so encouraged? Isn't this a great message? Aren't you glad you came today? This is lovely, wonderful. Oh, we just find out how awful we are as people, how selfish and foolish. And okay, don't worry, it's going to get good. It's going to get good. But we have to adjust. We have to identify the reality of the lie and what it looks like in our life. Because if we don't, when we walk away, we go, it doesn't really make a difference. Yeah, I don't know what he was talking about today. No, in our work, it's so easy for us to approach it and say, oh, I'm working hard. God is honored by my hard work, but it was never for him. It was always for us. That somehow, if we work hard, if we earn enough, we'll feel good about us. So what's the secret of contentment then? How do we approach our work, something we spend so much of our life doing, in a way that truly leads to being fulfilled? What is the secret here? Two things. One, a truth, and then two, a promise. It's going to be a truth and a promise. And here's the first truth, the most important truth. This will set in context all of our work. Okay, it's the most important thing we recognize. Number one, the truth is this: the greatest work of all is already done. On the cross, as Jesus was hanging there, as he was about to take his last breath, do you remember what he said? He said three words. What did he say? It is finished. What was finished? Oh, the work. The greatest work of all time. The most important work that could ever be done. He came to build a bridge between us and God. That's what he did. He made a way. And you know what? He did it. He did it, and it was hard. People opposed him. People accused him. The devil tried to tempt him to stop. His own family called him crazy. His followers weren't a great help to him, but he kept working, and he spent his life teaching and giving to people that misunderstood him and accused him and ultimately crucified him. And it was a work that none of us could have done. You and I, we cannot build a bridge to God. We can't do that. Couldn't have happened. But Jesus did that work. The secret of contentment is not found in us doing enough, but rather in the truth that God has already done the greatest work. It's finished. It's finished. The most important work is finished. I mean, this is really good. That's a really big deal. That's a really big deal. That when you approach your work and when I approach my work, we do it under the umbrella, under the canopy, under the understanding that the greatest work already been done. Does not hang in the balance. It's finished. But that's not all. That's the truth. But here comes the promise. Ready? This whole series is based on a statement the Apostle Paul made in Philippians chapter 4, verse 12. Says, I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. I've learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. Right? That's where the series comes from, the secret of contentment. Paul says, I know all this. He's worked hard. Says, I know all this. I've figured this out. But here's what he says next. The very next verse. It's a famous verse. You know it. You've heard it. Here's what it goes. Verse 13, he says this, for I can do everything through Christ who gives me strength. You know what that is? That's a promise. That's a promise. If God says, I will give you work to do now, in the understanding that the greatest work has already been done, but there's still work to do, I'm going to give it to you to do, and guess what? You can do it, because I'm going to give you the strength to do it. I will give you the strength to do it. It's a promise. If you don't have the strength you need to do the work in front of you, it's not yours to do. You have all the strength you need. You lack nothing to do the work that is yours to do. It's a promise. You go, I've been doing this for a long time. I'm tired of this. Yes, I understand. But God says, if it's your work, He will empower you. You can do all things through Christ who gives you strength. He will empower you to do what He calls you to do. Not, I can do anything with Christ. I can jump off a bridge and be fine. No, that's not what it says. Right? It's saying that the work God gives you to do, He will empower you to do. So the work that's before you, you have what you need. The greatest work's already been done, truth. The promise, now you have work to do, and God will give you what you need to do it. God has already done the greatest work, and whatever He assigns us, He will supply what we need to do it. So let me ask you today, what's your assignment or assignments? Because it's not just one. None of us have one thing we do for work. We got all sorts of things. Whether you're a spouse or parents, right? You got work to do. We all have roles we fill. If you're a husband or a wife, God will give you what you need to love. If you're a single parent, God says, you can do it. I will give you strength. Whatever your job demands of you. Our work is God's business. He will give you what you need. Whatever He has put you in, He will supply what you need to do it. We can be content knowing that. It's a promise. He's done the greatest work, and He will give you what you need to do the work. So the question is this: who are you working for? Are you asking God to bless your work? To say, God, help me do my thing? Because God says, I don't know what you're talking about. I never asked you to do that. God doesn't just need our effort. He needs our obedience. If we're not content in our work, could it be that we're doing things he never asked us to do and trying to find contentment in the work itself? It will never be enough. No matter how noble the work, it will never be enough. 1993, a movie came out. Powerful movie. Gripped the world, really. It's called Schindler's List. It told the story of Oskar Schindler, who was a German who rescued, was he German or was he Polish? I can't remember. I think he was Polish. And he rescued Jews. I think it was over 1,300 in his lifetime that he saved. At the end of his life, doing amazing work. And you know what? At the end of his life, do you remember? He says, I could have saved more. I could have done more. What if there could have been just one more that I could have saved? Right? Here's the thing. There will never be enough work to do. You could do meaningful work, but that in itself does not lead to contentment. You go, come on, dude. You did amazing stuff with your life. The work itself is not enough. Our contentment is not found in the work. Ecclesiastes is full of this. I don't have time to get into it all day. But Solomon says, listen, I'm going to work hard. I'm going to spend my life, and you know what? I'm going to die, and somebody else is going to inherit what I did. I don't know what they're going to do with it. The Vanderbilt family, we talked about it. One of the wealthiest families within 2 generations. Most of that money squandered. You can work really hard. I know people that built great businesses, and guess what? Nobody to carry it on, and it dissolves, and it falls away. Our work does not have the capacity to satisfy us, not in itself. The only contentment can come from knowing we did what God gave us to do, and that's enough. Listen, work is never done. Ask anybody that's trying to cook dinner for their family. You made a great dinner. Great. Guess what? I'm hungry again. You mow the lawn. Grass grows back. You build things. They break. Right? I'm just telling you, you're a doctor. It's great. I healed somebody. It's great. Somebody else is sick. Somebody else gets sick. Somebody else gets sick. You finish a big project. That's amazing. Okay, we got another one for you. It never ends. Work never ends. We don't know how it's going to. There's so much futility in our work. It can't satisfy us. The only thing that can satisfy us in our work is knowing that God gave it to me. He's already done the greatest work. He'll give me what I need to do this. And at the end of the day, if I stand before God, He's going to ask us, did you do what I asked you to do? And if we can say I was faithful, He'll say, well done, good and faithful servant. You want success in your work? Do what God's asked you to do. It's not by grinding and working hard and doing what we're supposed to do because we're doing that for us. Doesn't mean we shouldn't work hard. We should absolutely work hard. We talked about it. But we need to make sure we understand who we're doing it for. So what? So what does that look like in the real world? I'm going to close with a simple story told by an actress named Jeanette Clift George. Anybody know who that is? Jeanette Clift George, yeah. She's known, you probably have seen her, she was known for her role as Corrie ten Boom in the film adaptation of The Hiding Place. So if you've seen that, you've seen her. She's a believer in Jesus, and years ago, Jeanette was speaking at a luncheon in a civic auditorium of a city in Oklahoma. She tells this story. She settled herself at her place at the head table, and she later recounted, she said, I picked up my fork and noticed that there were 2 rose-petaled radishes adorning the salad plate. She said someone had taken the time to pretty up 2 radishes just for me. She was the speaker, and she was like, oh. She says, then I noticed that each salad at the head table had 2 neatly curled radishes. And I turned to the lady sitting to my right and said, I'm impressed by the radishes. You're impressed by what? She said. The radishes. I said, look, each salad plate on the table has curled radishes. Yes, she said, exercising a questioning smile. They're pretty. And Jeanette said, no, they're more than pretty. Someone took special care to do these. Don't they all have them? She asked, gazing out at the other tables. And I looked and was astonished because every salad plate in the entire auditorium was adorned with 2 curled radishes. That took a lot of time, Jeanette said. I'm I'm not on the planning committee, the other woman said, but Gertrude is, my table mate's responded. She turned to the attention of Gertrude 3 chairs down and says, Mrs. George here wants to ask you about the radishes. The what? Gertrude mouthed. The radishes, she said. Is there something wrong with the radishes? She said, no, they're fine. I just thought it was nice to have them all curled. She said, oh, Marietta does that. All of them? I knew the head count in the room and was astonished. That's almost 800 radishes. Yeah, but Marietta wants to do it. She said, would you like to meet her? She's in the kitchen. So Gertrude and I went into the kitchen, and there I met Marietta, the lady of the radishes. She says, Gertrude tells me you curled all these radishes, and they're lovely. Each salad just looks so beautiful. I don't mind doing it, Marietta said. It just takes some time. I didn't really know what else to say, so we left, and later I spoke to the crowd, and she said there was an encouraging response, and afterwards ladies kind of scurried up and shared what God was doing in their lives, and when we finished, it was raining outside and really heavy, and we hurried across the parking lot to the car, and through the rain, I could see a lady carrying a large polka dot umbrella that had collapsed on one side, and she was waiting by our car, and it was Marietta, and she was smiling as though we had found her on a sunny day and in a especially delightful garden. She said, I had to see you. She said, I heard your speech, and it was so good. I have to go home now. I slipped inside my car, and Marietta crouched down close to the window and called to me. She said, you just remember this. You keep telling people about Jesus, and I'll keep curling the radishes. Jeanette writes, the rain and my tears splattered the picture of her face as we started to back out of the driveway. Dear Marietta, I haven't forgotten. We're to do our jobs in the love of Him who does all things well. Let me tell you, whatever you do this week, give it your best. Give it your best. But be at peace knowing that God has already done the greatest work. God has already done the greatest work. We don't have pressure on us to fix everything, to make. God's already done all that. And He will give you exactly what you need. So whether you're doing something that feels like it's not a big deal, maybe nobody knows, you do what you do well, because God sees it. And if He's asked you to do it, you be obedient. Just make sure that you're doing it for Him. You don't need to do more to be content. You just need to do what God's asking you to do. He's already done it all. We're going to close this morning by sharing communion. One Sunday each month, we share a symbolic meal that honors the Last Supper that Jesus shared with His disciples. At our church, communion is open to anybody who has a personal relationship with Jesus. You don't have to be a member of our church to participate. You just need to have that personal relationship with God. If you'd like to and you haven't gotten one of these, our ushers will find you. If you didn't get served today, just raise your hand and that they will find you. All right, we got one here, got there, so we got a few scattered throughout. So this meal honors the Last Supper Jesus shared with His disciples. And when He gathered with them just before He ran the final lap of His earthly race, He told them to remember this meal, to remember what it meant. And so we do this once a month in obedience to that. The bread symbolizes His body, what it meant that Jesus came in the flesh to do the work. And the cup represents His blood, that His labor was costly, that He paid the ultimate price for us. And there's no better reminder that Jesus did the greatest work for us than sharing communion together. But before we do that, I'm going to invite you to pray with me. Would you just bow your heads as we pray today? In Scripture, we're told to examine our hearts before we receive communion. It's not something we're supposed to do casually. We're to recognize the cost of the work that Jesus did on our behalf. And I'm going to pray. And as we've been doing for each of these past 2 weeks, we're going to pray sort of a confessional prayer. And I'm going to invite you to repeat after me. This is a declaration of our response to the truth that we have received today. So just for a moment, search your heart. Prepare your heart to receive this. Again, we're going to remember that He's already done the greatest work. As I speak, I'll invite you to just to speak out loud after me. Dear Father in heaven, I am not able to do all I want. I acknowledge that doing more does not promise me contentment. You have given me work to do, and I commit to doing my best with whatever you entrust to me. Most of all, I know that you have done the greatest work. On the cross, you died for me. You forgave my sins. You gave me eternal life. This is where my contentment is found. Would you please take the bread? Peel off that top, take that bread, and repeat after me. This is your body, broken for me because you love me. Let's eat together. Please take the cup. Peel off that top. I'll give you an extra second on that because it ain't easy. And would you repeat after me? This is your blood poured out for me because you finished the work of our salvation. We love you. Amen. Let's drink together.